spatting the more speech in the phone. Them actors out there bleaching your dome. It was all good just a week ago. Devin Haney, Eddie Hearn. Trouble in Paradise. Devin Haney has now sent shots at Eddie Hearns on the cusp of Joshua versus Daniel Dubois, which is getting ready to come up. Basically, Devin Haney has insisted that Eddie Hearn is a fraud and a fake. No, I'm not making this up. Listen, Boxing Ego here. The best in the business, and it's not even close. A lot of low-quality content in this boxing space, especially, PBC hasn't really announced all their fights and things like that, slow news cycles. You got a lot of clickbait, a lot of lies in the title. Give me some time, and in the next 1 minute, I will show you what went on, what Devin said to Eddie Hearn and things like that. But we got to move away from, just the poor content and the clickbait, rushing out videos. I could do a bunch of couple-minute videos, really not talk about nothing, but I choose to operate how I operate, and we here now. So, out of nowhere, Devin Haney, he sends shots at Eddie Hearn. Behind the scenes, the reason being, Joshua versus Dubois. So I'm going to show you guys right now. I told you in the next minute, and I'm a man of my word. Devin Haney rips Eddie Hearn after being refused tickets to the Anthony Meet with me. It's mad. It's mad. Physio. The Anthony Joshua, bruv, versus Daniel Dubois fight over there in London at the Wembley. And Devin, I guess, flew out there and he was trying to touch down, but Eddie won't give him tickets. So I haven't seen him. Like, I've been watching some of the undercard, and I still don't think he's got that sorted. So we'll start with Devin Haney. He says, wow, I'm in London. Eddie Hearns won't give me tickets to the fight, but he keep mentioning me every chance he get. Eddie is the fakest ninja I ever met, bro. Boom. Did I lie? Huh? Boom, you never know. This paper is 95%, but it's entertaining. You won't let me read it, huh? Now you entertain me with your... I told you I did not lie. Boom. You never know. He says, Eddie is the fakest ninja I ever met, bro. Eddie Hearn took the time, because he's, he running the show, and part of it, he's a promoter, promoting his fighter in the main event. He took the time, he seen this or got wind of it, and he says, you asked me at 6 a.m. this morning. First, I look after my fighters. Ask someone else and drop the arrogance. Hey, oh, Cold World. Hey, J. Cole said it right. Cold World. This man says, my fighters are my first priority, which we'll get into that in a minute. That didn't stop. So in addition to Devin saying, wow, I'm in London, Eddie won't give me tickets, he says he do so much foul-ish, right? That's the second tweet. He said, I respect Bob Arum because he kept it straight business. And so did Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar wasn't trying to act like he was my friend and he cared about me so much. Eddie act like that, then two-face behind Joe back. Ooh, not looking good. Right? And he responded to Eddie Hearn with a prayer. Wow. Now, it's time for the boy Ego to cook. Once again, I look amazing. The Haneyacks don't, though. You guys, the Haneyacks, there's content creators, now they're going to be like, oh, I told you so, and I knew this was coming, but they didn't really tell you so. Meanwhile, Ego Stradamus, the incomparable, the great Igor Stradamus strikes again. Remember what I told you with this relationship, right? It was myself and Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis in the press conference for the Frank Martin fight, Gervonta Davis says, and I quote, that Eddie Hearn is a snake in a suit. That's his words. Now, people said, oh, Tank's just hating and blah, blah. And the Haney still supported Devin and Eddie Hearn's relationship and said, oh, Devin's getting paid with Eddie and stuff like that. Now they're going to try to act like they were on the right side of history now that there's some friction and some tension. Meanwhile, Tank and myself both told you this, that the relationship looked to be souring. I told you, I started seeing it in recent Eddie Hearn interviews. So if you go listen to the videos where Eddie Hearn did interviews with particularly Andre Ward, the Art of Ward, right? He was completely in some of these interviews throwing Devin Haney under the bus after the Ryan Garcia loss, which was later overturned, right? Eddie Hearn was like, we asked to be brought along for the Ryan Garcia fight, and they thought they could run the show, and we told them they need a rehydration clause, but they was like, nah, we don't want to do that. And he's like, they made mistakes. And I felt that Eddie Hearn was being candid and he was being honest, because that's the exact same thing I said. They did make a lot of mistakes from the business side. If you have a well put together team and experienced team, you don't let Ryan miss weight by almost 4 pounds and don't put him on a rehydration clause. You don't not have a rematch clause. You don't let him do the shenanigans that's hurting the fight and then continue the fight. So Ryan acting bizarre, him missing weight. At some point, you got to protect your fighter. Be like, this is not advantageous for us to see this thing through based on how the opponent is acting. It's a no-win situation, which is what I said. So Eddie Hearn's been throwing Devin under the bus. Now they have this ticket snafu, and it is what it is. I will say this is, if I had to weigh in and give the ego thoughts, which is what you guys are here for, I side with Eddie Hearn, because who on earth lives in the States, lives in Vegas, and would fly all the way out to London to go to a fight and not have the tickets arranged or sorted, or shoot someone a text to RSVP, and then you're so entitled and spoiled that you believe that you could just show up and you're just such a big celebrity that the face card would work, and like, nah, they're gonna give me tickets. That's really an entitled attitude from Devin Haney, to think he's gonna just go to the London without clearly orchestrating or organizing anything, and I guess believe that Turkey or Eddie Hearn would have to look after him in that way. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would never do that. Like, for me, living in California up north in the Bay Area, to go to LA it's like a 6-hour drive, right? So if I want to see one of my homies or friends that live in LA, I'm not just gonna just hop in the car, waste 6 hours, and then expect them to be home. What if they're out on business or on vacation or stuff? I don't waste my time. So I don't understand why Devin Haney would do this, or why he would feel that he was entitled to this. And Eddie Hearn, which I said we'll get to in the end of this video, Eddie Hearn continues to let it be clear, like, you're not one of my fighters, bro. Like, we have a relationship, but you're not actually under the rematch room banner and imprint. You want to be a free agent. So at the end of the day, enjoy. But when things happen like the Ryan Garcia fight, remember that. He says in past interviews, Eddie Hearn's basically saying that if you were under my umbrella and actually one of my fighters, you know, I would go to bat for you no matter what. But that's not the case. You want to be a free agent, and it is what it is. So now, when the multiple times Eddie Hearn's throwing Devin under the bus, he's getting a shock to the system, because he's like, oh, Eddie's my friend and stuff like that. And this is business. Eddie Hearn's a businessman. You know that because you find me at my places of business. And Devin Haney's looking at it like, so he's clearly young and he has a lot to learn, because there's a lot of people like this where, imagine Kesha. Anybody who knows music, I'm talking about blah, blah, right? At one moment, she was producing records that were charting and hitting the record labels, right? And on the Billboard and stuff. Nobody really knows her music now. She ain't dropping hits now. So whatever loyalties and like plugs, like getting into Grammy parties and all white parties and all these types of things, you were getting that when you were charting. But I guarantee you, some of them calls dry up and some of them invites and like people giving you free Rolexes and stuff, because a lot of people look at it in business like, what's in it for me? Like, it makes sense to be aligned with somebody who's hot and somebody who's like winning and stuff like that. But Devin Haney's brand took a major hit. The other thing for Eddie Hearn particularly is Eddie Hearn, he kind of, he comes from money. His dad had money. His dad had a company that was successful. So he kind of breaks his toy and then he'll just go move on to the next toy, kind of spoiled rich kid type of behavior. And I've said this a long time ago, right? So between it being business and then the spoiled kind of rich kid mentality, Eddie Hearn has done that. He's all about Kell Brook. Kell Brook gets his eyes bashed in, and then Eddie Hearn don't really seem like he's behind Kell Brook the same. Then he'll move on to Anthony Joshua. Then Anthony Joshua get knocked out by Ruiz. Then he, leeches on to Canelo, and he's doing fights with Canelo. Then Canelo leaves, and then he got this Turkey situation. Or, he has Devin Haney, and then Devin Haney gets demolished by Ryan Garcia, but now he got a more promising American fighter in Jaron Boots Ennis. So Eddie Hearn's like, deuces, I got me a star that's actually committed to Matchroom. Jaron Boots Ennis, he ain't been beat. He shows a lot of promise. He has a better chin, et cetera, et cetera. And Devin Haney's now getting a reality check. I try to tell y'all, see, people think I just get on here and bump my gums. I've lived life. The most important thing you could do as a man is live you some life, because you're going to go through the ups and downs, the pitfalls. You reach a certain age. Devin's not even 30 years old. So there's no way he's learned some of the stuff that I've learned just because I've been on this earth longer, right? But now he's getting to see. When this picture was taken and you're in Australia undisputed, everything's good. Everything's popping. Now you're trying to get tickets to the hottest event in the UK and you're having difficulty. As of me recording the video, I haven't seen Devin in the atmosphere in the building. So I don't know if he'll get it sorted, but that's the latest. He's blaming Eddie Hearn, saying Eddie Hearn, is fraudulent and won't let him in. On some Chris Brown stuff. I don't see how you can hate from outside the club. You can't even get in. Leg out. Yellow model chick. Yellow model. All these ladies, they got me cool, J. Bro, it's looking bad. And I tried to tell y'all. But the Haitiacs, like I said, they're going to be like, I told you so. But it was your man, Ego, who told you. I seen this coming a mile away. Eddie Hearn got Jaron Ennis. He don't really have the same use for a non-committed Devin Haney, whose profile, I don't care if he got his win back or not, his profile in the Ryan Garcia fight took a hit. So I'll leave y'all with that. Food for thought.